we have we have a building, we have preparing the ground for building, but also be included in this halacha. In the Mishkan, the structure, the actual building itself was put together. I think so. We also had to prepare the ground for the Mishkan. So therefore, anything that is preparing the ground for building is also included. Straightening out the ground, that would include also sweeping outdoors. And sweeping would be straightening out the ground, purifying the ground in a building, and that would be a part of this malacha. Also building anything that has to do with fencing, a wall, all of this is a part of building. This would also extend itself to sweeping. At one point, the houses were of sand, earth. Therefore, after use, you would have to then straighten out the ground. You would have a stiff, bristle broom that would push the earth and straighten it out. So that is not a part of planting, that is also a part of building itself. So that is where it's done. If it's done in a garden, then that's part of planting, or part of plowing, preparing the ground for planting. If it's in a place where people live, in a courtyard, in a yard, in a patio, all of this would be a part of building. Therefore, sweeping on Shabbos could only be done with a soft crystal broom. They're softer than this. This is pretty. This is a little. This on the stiffer. This on the stiffer side. I would not do this on Shabbos. I would use. There's a softer version that would be used. Now, anything that is a part of the structure itself, adding to it would also be included in this halacha, and therefore, putting a nail into the wall, putting on thumbtacks on a bulletin board that is attached to the wall, that is a part of the building itself. Putting in thumbtacks, that would be part of this halacha. Also, adding something to the building itself is also included, and that would be the suction cups. You have the suction where you actually put up a hook. You familiar with that? It has a rubber, and you pull a lever, and it causes the hook to stick to the wall. So even though it is not done with glue, even that is also included in adding to the structure. Same would also be anything adding to the structure would also be included, and therefore, this normally our heating usually has a cover to it. Correct? This one doesn't have a cover. You have here our baseboard. Usually it's covered with has a covering to it. So since the baseboard is a part of the structure, part of the wall, adding this cover on Shabbos would be included in building, even though because it's meant to be there on a permanent basis. So adding anything to the structure would also be included. Yes.
If the cover falls off, can you like prop it up over the structure? It's not like permanent.
No. But so much so that you have here. What do we have here? The door. Let's put the other side, and then actually put the screw back inside. So therefore, the Rabbanan said that even though you're only using this part, you're not putting on the second side to it. Even so, this is look so you cannot do it. So how do we get into the door? The door is locked. So there is a little square there. There's a square where the door handle goes in. So here we have the door handle as a square, and therefore this would also. So the key in the door itself, we have this little square, and the door handle goes into the square, and then that's how it turns it. So what we would do is get something that's able to fit into this little square and use it to open the door. Usually the handle of a small spoon would fit. That's permissible. Also, a screwdriver that would be the size of this hole could also be used. Even though a screwdriver normally is a tool for building, and therefore it would be muktzah. However, it is considered a tool. It's called a keli, called a vessel. And therefore, if you're going to be using it for a permissible activity, then since it is a vessel, you would be able to use it to open the door. That would exclude something that's not a vessel. For a piece of wood that is muktzah, it's not a vessel, you cannot use it even for a permissible thing. So let's say if you have a piece of wood and you want to prop the door open so it should close from the wind, you're not allowed to use it because it's muktzah. Even though you're going to be using it for permissible activity, you cannot use it. However, something that is a vessel, a box, you put a box. Those people could box with the vessel. So a vessel could be used if it is, even if it is normally used for forbidden activities, if you're going to use it for permissible activity, it could be done. Yes.
What's your definition of a vessel?
A vessel is something that is made specifically for a certain activity, and it could be identified. So let's take an example. A rock. A rock is muktzah. However, if you're using the rock for a door stop, still muktzah. Even if you use it during the week, it's still muktzah. However, if you make this rock different than other rocks by decorating it, then it becomes a decorated rock, and then it becomes a vessel because now it is going to be used as your doorstop, and that would be permissible. Because now it is recognizable that it's not the ordinary rock, it is a rock that is being used for some purpose, that becomes a vessel. Adding anything to the building itself, even though it's easy to add, still would be forbidden. For instance, you have a screen. You do not put in the screen before Shabbos. Even though the screen is easy to put in, it has the grooves, it has the place where to go in. However, you're going to be adding to the structure. You're going to be adding it to the building. So you cannot place the screen into the window or remove it. And this is something that is meant to be there on a permanent basis or else for the season, whatever it may be. So therefore, this cannot be removed or put in. The same thing with also those who are changing over from the storm windows. You have two sets of windows. Some places have two sets of windows. You have the screens, and then you have the storm windows for the winter. Is anyone familiar with that? Two sets of windows. Now they usually have the storm window. Usually it's a double pane window. It usually stays there all year round. But other times they used to put in a specific window for the winter. There should be a double space. It should be a storm window. It should be for insulation. So removing that on Shabbos and putting the screen in instead, both of these would be something that is forbidden. The building would also apply to large structures that are, even though they're not a building, but they are have a large vessel would be considered, a building, so what are the dimensions? So it would be something that is the size of 35 inches.
Yeah.
135, 36, so the width, 36. The depth is 12 inches. 12 inches. And then 47 inches. Something that would be. For the bookcase, that has these dimensions, it's 35 wide, 12 deep, and 7 or full shelf. So 1, 2, one with 3 shelves. This size, this would be considered a halal building.
Oh, my
What
goodness.
difference does it make? But the difference would be what happens if the shelf comes out. All you below it replace the shelf.
Yeah.
So if it's smaller, then it's not a building. And therefore, since you're not actually doing anything just on pegs, you're just replacing the shelf on the pegs. So if it's smaller than these dimensions, then you would be permitted to replace the shelf or remove the shelf. If it's this size, then this is considered a building, you can want it out or you'll be shelf, yes.
Who came up with these dimensions?
Oh, it's considered, what is considered a best, what's considered a, closet best. Now, basically it has a whole. It has a whole, history to it
Sure.
of how many gallons it could hold, 150 gallons, so. So the dimension that's, it goes into what it could store. A larger amount, that's already considered, if the storage is not, it's considered like a closet.
Even if you don't use it. for
Yes, but it was the dimensions that were determined how we got to this. It has to do with how many gallons it holds,
Hmm.
and the whole series of how we get to it, but I'm just giving you the finished got it. I can, tell you where to look up these. Yes, okay. Now, so this would,
What's the height?
the height is 47 inches. It's 35 by 12 by 47, and it could be, those are the cubic. You would be able to figure out how much it holds, and then the dimensions would change. If it's smaller, a bit narrower, it would be, those would be the dimensions. It's a cubit by a cubit by 3 cubits. That's the. A cubit is about 18 to 24 inches. You take the smaller one. So the actual dimensions are 1 cubit by a cubit by 3 cubits. That's
How
the
much? How much?
cubit is, if you take the smaller side, 18 inches. It would be. Cubit is about 18 inches.
Yeah.
It, it runs also, sometimes we use the cubits as 24 inches, depending on the situation. It's between 18 and 24, so for this, we're going to be use the smaller cubits, which is 18 inches, in order not to transgress the Shabbos. So this would also include a refrigerator, depending on the size of the refrigerator. Can you take the shelf out on Shabbos? You want to put in, you have a big pot that you want to put in the refrigerator. You want to take out the shelf. So depending what size the refrigerator is, if it's a smaller refrigerator that does not meet these dimensions, let me put down the dimension, put them right here. The dimension that we had here was So if it's a little refrigerator, you can take the shelf out. If it's a large refrigerator, then it would be considered a structure and you cannot take things up. Now, this malacha of building also includes making a tent. So there's a permanent structure, and then there is a temporary structure, which would also be a tent, meaning a roof covering or sides. So if it is something that is of temporary nature, so you are permitted to extend an existing temporary covering. So you could, if it's not permanent, you're not adding something that's permanent to the building. You're not making an extension to the building, putting up a wall, putting up a board. That is something that's an extension to a permanent building. If it's something that's temporary, for instance, there's a roof covering, a tent covering. So then you are permitted to extend an existing temporary covering, which means how much could you extend it by, if it is already a tefach? Approximately. If there is already an existing tent that's at least 4 inches, you are permitted to extend it. For this would be an example, if you have a sukkah and you want to put a covering of the sukkah in case it rains, are you allowed to open up the tarp? We're allowed to roll it back after the rain is over. So if it's on Shabbos or Yom Tov, if the tarp is open 4 inches before Shabbos or Yom Tov, then that's already considered a mini tent. And therefore, what you're doing now is you're just extending an existing tent. So then you will be able to roll it out. And when you're rolling it back, you have to leave the 4 inches to one roll. The roll, it has to be actually open 4 inches. The fact that it's rolled together, that itself is not enough. It has to be open 4 inches. No question.
This applies to Yom Tov too, right?
Yes.
So why is an umbrella considered a tent if it's not actually on the floor? You're on
A
the floor.
tent means a covering over the head.
Oh. So you couldn't even like hold anything?
Redundant? Or if you're holding something to cover, to. You have to wear it.
You have to wear it?
Yeah.
What if you wear that? Because it's stupid. Do you know what I'm gonna talk about?
I know what you're talking about. You wear an umbrella, but since it's made to be an umbrella, then that's considered a temporary thing. It's meant to be that. But it's meant to protect your roof from the elements.
You should not wear
You
that.
have to-
Not a poncho.
Actually, you could put that's closed. That's closed. So
Okay,
anything
now
that's
I-
closed, so that is considered your garment. But something that's specifically made as protection from the elements, the rain. So if it's so then that would it's made as a tent. So that little umbrella that you wear on your head, it's has a little skin on it.
Yeah.
It's not a Shabbos hat.
What kind of use umbrella?
Those are not. We made the same, but as a tent for Shabbos and Yom Tov are both the same. Yom Tov is only things that you are permitted to carry, things that you need for Yom Tov, but doesn't include things that normally.
Okay, so the only thing is, where you go.
But again, it's a coat.
Yeah.
Clothes is fine. The second thing you have your hood. That would be fine. A rain hat would be permissible if it's there to protect you from getting wet. Not trying to protect your clothes, you're trying to protect yourself. You're comfortable, body's gonna run down your neck. Then you're often permitted to put on a rain hat, even though it's specifically for the rain. Now this, now the building of vessels, closets, this would be included in this Morocco. And making tents is also included in this Morocco. So how about folding tables, folding chairs, folding beds, folding playpens? Are you allowed to open them up on Shabbos?
Does it have a roof?
What you tell me? What is it? What,
It's
you tell me.
metal plate.
Is it considered a room?
Is it inside? We open it
No,
inside.
you know, we're not right. We're opening up a chair. There's a folding chair,
For sure you can open that.
a folding table, folding bed. Why could you open that?
Yeah.
Yes, the answer is yes, because
It's not meant for a pet.
that's correct. It's meant to be used on top and not underneath. So those are permitted.
Wait, can you go under a folding table during the rain?
You could. Because
Even if
it's
you also open it on Shabbos?
you open it on Shabbos, but since its primary use is not from underneath, that's not primary use. So could you go under your bed if you wish? No, don't stop you. You can go under your bed.
Sonia, see if I can carry. Is it gonna rain?
Carrying a folding table is a different story.
Sorry.
But if going under the table would be fine. There you are making it into an umbrella, whether it is facing the right thing. So, and adding, so now comes Yontif, extra guest came. You have a table that you could extend and put in a piece. Can we extend our table to put in an additional section to the table from Shabbos or Yom Tov? What is the issue here?
I didn't hear the question.
We have now a table, more guests came, and you have an extension to the table where you could put in an additional section. Can you add another section to your table on Shabbos?
Another table to your table?
Not a table, we take, you pull it two sides, it has a track, it has a track. And
Oh, and then you like
close
pull
it,
it open and
then
then
you
you
pull it
like
open,
expand it?
and then you put in another piece,
Yes.
section. Are you allowed to? The answer is yes, it is, because that
Not a
is,
tent.
it's not, and also, it's not considered that you're building the table.
Because the table could be
Yes.
by itself without it.
And also, it's also meant to be taken out when you wish. It's not there, you're not building the table, you're not making it from scratch. It is already an existing table that you just do it. The same as the floor handle that came out of the wall would be forbidden. What happens if you have a chair and a leg of the chair came off? Are you allowed to replace the
No.
leg of the chair? The answer is
No.
no, because it's meant to be there on a permanent basis. Therefore, you are fixing and adding to your chair.
Wait, but if the shelf fell off the.
So that is the size. If it's this size,
Yeah.
you cannot put it back. If it's a smaller
Yeah,
size.
it's smaller.
Yeah, you can
It's
put
the
it
best.
back.
So why the chair?
So because it's meant to be permanently, a shelf, you're not, you're just putting it down on heads, you're not actually connecting it.
Structure that's not.
You're not putting together, so you cannot put together a small cloud. A small bookcase, you cannot put it together. The only thing you could do is, since the shelf is only, it's very easy to take out, put it down, put it back, you're not building
If
it.
the whole structure does not depend on this element,
That's
then
correct.
you can.
That's good. But if the structure itself fell apart, putting it together on Shabbos. would be
What
good.
about the chair, let's say the back of the chair fell off,
So the whole chair does not depend on only this part, and I feel like.
But you are, there will be adding to a chair, you building back the chair. Chair fell apart, it's meant to be done on a permanent basis.
It's not fell apart, just like,
This is what I'm saying, but that's what happened.
like, consider that even if it stands, it's still like. Okay.
Can you just go over the numbers again, buildings, I find that very confusing. Like, how large and small it needs to be and why exactly is it that top?
Because it is able to hold 150 gallons of water. That was determined to be a closet.
Okay,
It's able to hold that amount, that's already considered. That's the minimum size of a mikvah, that's what. Well, that would be already, one is able to, so 1 cubic by 1 cubic by 3 cubits, is something a person could fit in. That's already considered where a person could actually be in this structure, that he himself could go, just like a building. Just like you have a building that is there in the structure, so also this box, where a person could go into, and that's to be his little house, live in this little house. So it's a house, okay.
So, if you wanna add another table to the table, we can do this because it's for certain time. Like,
It's meant to be taken in, it's meant to be used that way. It's meant to be taken out, put back when you need it. So it doesn't matter how long you'll keep it there, but since it's meant to begin with, then it should be added and moved. That would be okay. Now. There are some of the brooms that actually are, you have the handle and the head are two separate things. This one seems to be these. So it's reassembling this on Shabbos would be building, because it's meant to be used this way when it is attached. And when it is not attached, you're building it to begin with, making it into a room. The making a vessel to begin with would go to this malacha of building. So it's not only building a structure, but also building a vessel would also be included in this. So if this would come apart, you could not reassemble it on Shabbos. What happens is you have eyeglasses to the screw came out. In Shabbos, you still have the screw. And you reflect, when you put it back in Shabbos, when the answer is. Well, I'm going to be. That's just a little screw that has the handle side, yeah. You'll put it, you put that on Shabbos. Same thing would also be, it happens if the lens folds out.
oh, no.
Also cannot be done, even though it is, unless it keeps falling out throughout the week, you just keep putting it back and falling out, it's become like becomes one that is removable, because it's normally glasses together over here. There is a nylon string. And this would hold it together. If the nylon string breaks, then there's nothing holding it on the bottom. So putting it back into the nylon, that itself would be making the glasses into usable items that have to be done. Yes.
what if you really need your glasses? And you will walk in two things at, like, what if I really need my glasses?
Oh, I say, anybody,
Okay,
that's all I can answer.
is there a way to order? No, but then where it would go in that.
Yeah. Be careful not to, that itself becomes, so you can wear it indoors. Wearing it outdoors would be a problem because you, not always it will stay on your face. Sometimes you'll be embarrassed when you'll meet somebody and they'll see you walking without a temple. It would be, you would take it off, you would hold it, so this is gonna happen. Could you put something in temporarily? I'd have to, look it up. Okay. Okay, so, when we're speaking about opening up, we'll stop here. I just want to just finish off with when we're speaking about opening up an existing tent that is at least 4 inches. Oh, this would also be for a net for a baby, or mosquito net. Open up 4 inches before Shabbos, then you could open it up completely, go back. What else would this would apply to? And this is one thing, could you take the chairs, line them up, and take a blanket over it, and make a little house for kids to play in on Shabbos? Make the chairs, and make it a little hideout. You let the kids play that way? Temporary tent cannot be made of that. Okay, so have a wonderful Yom Tov, Kabbalah, the same for the Boneh is. Enjoy the heat.
No.
Getting everyone down. What's happening with the weather? Okay. It should be a warm Shavuos, meaning spiritually. Fire and blues. And one for Yom Tov.
Huh?